Today you're embroidering with Cody and Pete, and today I want to show you how to use absolute check. Most people have no idea what absolute check is or that their Bernina has absolute check. Bernina's embroidery machines have had absolute check for many, many years now. So what absolute check is you can click on any part of the design and the module will move the hoop and the needle will represent where that particular part of that design will stitch out. So in the past, the far past, we used to have where we could check every four corners. So basically it would box out the design and it would just show you the four corners of that design, but that's not very accurate for a design that's not a square. So the way absolute check will show wherever we click on the design. So let's get started. It takes a few steps depending on where you're at in your embroidery. So first we just turned on our machine. We're at our embroidery home screen. So let's go and select design. So we'll go select one of the built-in designs, select folder number 3, and we are on a 770 today. We'll select design number 1. So you can see this particular design is not a square. So if we had it box it out, if we were trying to stitch around something or make sure we don't stitch over a pocket or over a pattern in a fabric, or like in this case, I've got something that's already slightly embroidered. So we want to make sure that we wouldn't stitch over that embroidered design. We want to make sure we can stitch around it. So we'll be able to move or manipulate the design in order to do so. So we've got our design selected. Now since I've just turned the machine on, I have it embroidered on it since it's been on, we need to make sure the machine and the module is calibrated. So by doing so, we've got our design up. So let's hit the bottom right hand button, which is where the little needle and the 3 little dots are. So we'll click that. It's telling us that the module is about to move. Hit the check mark. So now it's prompting us to put the hoop on. And it's telling us it's going to move and this will determine what hoop we put on it. So there we go. So now let's go to our edit screen, which is our little pencil. So we have our design. So what we want to do now, we want to make sure something is selected. So let's go to our hoop selection, which is the 3rd button on the left-hand column where it says MIDI, because we have the MIDI hoop on. So we can click that and let's scroll down, and we want to make sure one of two things. We want to make sure that this center button is not selected, and we want to make sure that the butterfly in the middle of the hoop is selected. So we're good. So now we're basically ready to use absolute check. So the way this works, we just hit anywhere on the design and the hoop will move. So let me get the camera closer so you can see exactly what we're looking at on the screen. Maybe. Not quite working. So we can see here, see where the cursor is? That's exactly where that part of the design is going to stitch out. So if we click, we can even zoom in if we wanted to. So what we want to do is we want to avoid that little design. So let's click somewhere around that area. So you can look and see if we were to lower the needle, we would be stitching really close to that part of the design. So we should be able to even lower the foot to get a better idea of where we're going to be stitching. So by looking back up at the screen, so you can see that would actually stitch right over our design. So in that case, we can come to our knobs and move the design up in order to avoid that part of that previously stitched design. So now you can kind of just go back to your screen and kind of just play and see. So here we're really close, so let's move it over to the left a little bit. And if we drop our needle, we'll see we'll be stitching around the design. So absolute check is wonderful. And something your machine already most likely has. So now if we go and embroider this design, it's going to embroider around our previously stitched design, or if you're trying to stitch around a particular pattern that's on a fabric in order to get it in like a blank space so you can see what your name is or what your design is, absolute check is awesome. So at this point, all you have to do is click here and it's ready to start embroidering. It's as simple as that. All right. hopefully enjoy using absolute check. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment in the video below. All right, happy sewing.